Have you ever wondered what the people closest to you directly think of you? Has it ever crossed your mind the way people think of you affects the way you think of yourself? I know I have. For example, I constantly want to make those around me happy, sometimes more than myself. I always overthink and compare myself to those closest to me. For example, my cousin. She's my best friend and we've always grown up together. I noticed how my friends would make comments like, "Gracie, why can't you be more like your cousin?" Or "Why won't you let loose and have a good time?" Hi, my name is Gracie Salmon, and today I'm going to talk to you about self concept, self awareness, and self esteem. My purpose for this presentation is to help give a better understanding of how and why we think of ourselves the way that we do, what goes into how our opinions are formed, and how this affects the way we communicate with those around us. Self concept is known as how you view yourself, the image you see, such as feelings, what you're capable of doing, what you believe are your strengths and weaknesses. How does self concept develop? Well, it starts with how others see you, allowing for comparison between those around you. Then it comes from life experiences you encounter, leading to how you feel and think about the choices you've made in life so far. People view themselves the most from those closest to them. So if people think well of you and talk good things, you are going to project a positive self image. Now, if they talk negatively of you or see unattractive things about you, then that gives you a negative self image. Comparing yourself to others is another form of self concept, most often one of the worst ways to see yourself in incorrect ways as well. In our society today, we tend to use social media as an outlet, such as Instagram, Visco, Snapchat, and more. All these outlets, you can post pictures of yourself, friends, and family. They can be good outlets to connect with others from different places, but then at the same time, negative outlets. The reason for this is because many people use filters, crop, edit their pictures to make them look like those they see in magazines, presenting a false image of oneself to make people compare themselves to the pictures and doubting oneself if they don't look that way. Cultural teachings is the last concept involved in self concept. When you grow up a certain way, values, beliefs, opinions are instilled in you. And when you begin to look at those values, beliefs, you begin to measure your success based off of those particular points. So when you reach those marks that define whether you're successful or not in your culture, affects one's perspective on self concept. Meaning, if you meet it, you have a positive look. If you don't, you have a negative look. Self awareness is the ability to see ourselves clearly and objectively through reflection, involving our traits and our strengths, weaknesses, our emotions, behaviors. A common example of this is given to us in our textbook is the Johari window, which is a metaphor division of oneself broken down into 4 categories: open self, blind self, hidden self, and unknown self. Open self are traits you see in yourself, but also others see in you. This can vary based upon who you're relating to and communicating with. For example, you may share more information with a close friend on topics than what you would share with your parents or family members. Blind self shows traits that others see in you, but you don't necessarily see in yourself. When there's a large blind self, it shows that you have little self awareness. This can interfere with communicating effectively and accurately. Unknown self are traits that neither you nor anyone else sees in you. Hidden self are traits that you know about yourself, but others don't know about you. The main goal of self awareness is to be able to understand where and what can be improved on to make you a better communicator. For example, listening to others, read their body language, have an open mind when they're speaking. Don't listen to respond, but listen to understand. Take what you learn from your hidden self and show people more about yourself, allowing for an increase in open self. When it comes to what people see in you, you don't see in yourself, learn and ask questions and try to understand why they say those things. Lastly, self-esteem is a measure of how you think of yourself. When you think highly of yourself and have confidence, for instance, you have a higher self-esteem. When you have low confidence in yourself and think negatively of yourself, you have a low self-esteem. Self-esteem is how you see themselves start from when they're a child and how they were raised, the way they saw relationships, traits from those around them. There are 3 categories: self-cognitive, affective, and behavioral. Cognitive is how you think about yourself, your strengths and weaknesses. It's the idea of who you are and who you want to be. Affective is your own analysis of behavior, whether you are pleased or not with those things. Behavioral is your nonverbal and verbal behaviors of how you present yourself to others. For instance, if you're assertive or a pushover and dominate the conversation. People may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. This quote explains how communicating we speak anything, but how we speak and how we represent ourselves, people learn to understand what we're communicating. Each of these three main points affects every bit of communication because we see ourselves and how others see us determines how we express and communicate with others. It's ever changing and will improve in every aspect of communication.